welcome to the channel, guys. Matthew, here at Tallest of Matthews on YouTube. Today I'm going to be interviewing my homie, Antonio here. Yeah, homie. uh,
What's up?
damn. How's it going?
Really good, man.
Yeah,
Weather's finally clearing up. We're getting out of this I don't know, the month of kind of somewhat crappy weather that Central California gets, and
for sure.
that's it. So I shouldn't complain about it. Like our crappy weather is like 60 degrees instead of 70. But yeah, it's getting beautiful and it's photo weather, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's getting to be photo weather, dude. I'm so stoked.
How about you?
I mean, I feel like it's the same kind of thing where it's like we've been having some really, really nice days, but like I don't know, like the weather is just always like it's Washington, so like you never know what's gonna happen. Like the day can start off like piss and rain, and then like end up being like 71 degrees by the end of the day, dude. It's really weird. Like I'm like packing a
Damn.
hoodie, packing like a waterproof jacket. You never know.
But yeah, you've got to just like stay packed like
Yeah.
your car. Everything's got to be in there just in case.
All right. Well, I got a bunch of questions for you today with this interview, and I'm really excited about it. Let's start off by asking what you shoot with.
What do I shoot with? I've got a Canon R5. I have a Fujifilm X100V. Love that little thing. And I just actually recently picked up a Pentax Super Program film camera, 35 millimeters. So
Okay.
really excited to start shooting with that sometime really soon.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's a film camera you said? Have you shot film before?
No, I haven't actually. A friend from work, we were kind of talking about cameras, and he's like, I took a film class like years ago for school. He's like, I only used it for that semester, and it's been just sitting in his closet ever since. He's like, dude, do you wanna buy it? So like, gave it to me for super cheap. Got a hella expired roll of Ilford black and white. So
Oh,
you know,
sick.
but I picked up a couple rolls. I got like I think Portra 400 and Kodak Gold 400.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Dang. That's exciting. Yeah, dude, Portrait is always a good. I feel like just like the colors from Portrait are just like immaculate.
And that's what I've been seeing from like a lot of people that I follow. It's
Yeah.
just like soft, even colors that are like vibrant but also soft. Like I don't know how to how it turns out. So I'm like I want that.
Yeah. Dude, hell yeah. All right. Any other gear that you use or that you love? Like,
I recently got another cool little toy off of Marketplace. I got a Sony CCD TRV 108. So I've got an old Handycam from like 2002, and that thing rips. Like I got it for super cheap,
hell
and
yeah.
I was just walking around with it at the beach and stuff, and this really sick like lowrider truck with like fat 18, 20-inch rims rolled through, and it was really cool. So that's another thing I just kind of recently found, but I'm gonna start playing with that a little bit more.
Oh, dude.
And with it.
Hell yeah, dude. That sounds sick. Man, dude. Does that like use like an SD card or is that just like an old like mini VHS like?
Oh, dude. So it's kind of annoying. So it's a high 8 camcorder. So I had to figure out a way to go tapeless because I was originally I'm like, okay, I can buy a high 8 tape. That's not a problem. But the problem is having to constantly do I re-record over top of it like every single time. Of course, your film is going to start falling apart and it's going to break. The price of just film in general, including tapes, is like it's crazy. So I don't want to be buying that constantly and then have to get a conversion tape and then playing it back to re-record it is kind of a nightmare. But I've been watching YouTube and I found a way to record tapeless. So I have this little X grip. It's like a little mount that you kind of hold on to.
Okay.
You mount the cam on it, and then on top you've got your hot shoe. And so in there I put this clear click. It's a 3.0, so it's basically it's a monitor, and I connect it to the Handycam itself. And whenever I hit record through through a micro SD card in the monitor itself, it immediately starts recording what the camera sees.
Oh, dude, that's
So
sick.
to like record on the camera itself, it's just as long as it's on and the tape's rolling. Like it's really cool.
Dude, oh my god, that sounds dope, honestly.
It's sick. Yeah, I have it here. Let me you need to grab it really quick.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. Yeah, show it off.
So it's not the prettiest thing, but it's super sick.
That is a rig, dude. That is so
Yeah,
sick.
it's got there's the little mount on it. It kind of connects. It's kind of messy because I can't find a cord shorter than like a 6 foot S video cable and the audio video, so I have to like loop it back around. I used one of my fiance's hair ties and like a cord. It just like twisted it super tight on there, but it's flush. It works, and it's MacGyvered to all hell, but
Dude,
it works.
that is quite the rig, dude. That makes me want one right now, dude.
It's dope. Marketplace, like they have super cheap ones. It's crazy because it's kind of like I don't know. It feels like it's starting to go up in price. Some places have them for super expensive, but I lucked out with this one.
Oh yeah. Dude, damn, that makes me think of like skate video, like the old like skate cams, like yeah.
Literally, like I remember being in like middle school watching old tapes and like Tony Hawk and just like
Yeah.
all of that. And it's like it's super like early 2000s run and gun, 100% skate video, like just slapping together a demo and bombing around town. That's exactly what this
Dude,
is. It
that's so
feels
fucking sick.
sick.
Next question I got for you is where did the love for this come from? Like the love for photography?
It came from, I want to say, for a really long time growing up, when I was a kid, my mom and parents, grandparents would pull out the family photo album. Like whenever we were all hanging out, talking about old stuff, my grandma or my mom, hey, that reminds me of this, and then all out comes the photo book. And so just seeing these like super warm, um, these photos that nothing felt staged, obviously it was just kind of in the moment snapshot, like you feel like you're there with these types of photos, and that's immediately you get hit with this feeling of nostalgia of it feels like a moment that is like in your memory but you didn't live that because obviously I wasn't even a child at that point, but it's just really
Yeah.
cool seeing other people's photos and just how warm those old film photos were. So like kind of growing up with seeing a bunch of those throughout our family, like my grandparents had like stacks and books of family photos. So I think at a really early age I was like, that's really cool, and it kind of grew with me to getting a really crappy digital point and shoot for Christmas, like
Yeah.
back in 2000, oh man, like 2003 or something like that, and just running pictures with it, and it's grown ever since, man.
Dude, that's awesome. Hell yeah. Um, and then like what made you want to like start doing like the photography that you do now? Like I know that like that was kind of like the beginning of like wanting to do that like photography just in general, but like I know that you mainly do like a lot of like kind of like street photography or like landscapes, um, things like that. I know that you're like really specialized in those kind of things.
Yeah, so it kind of like morphed. Like back when I started, I was just kind of shooting anything and everything. And where it's kind of ended up now has really just been things I've been passionate about, like since I was a kid growing up. Like we talked about the old skate videos, like
Yeah.
that is another thing that I was like heavily inspired by. I remember being in art class in middle school, and I had like a skate magazine, and I just like flipped it to like that, like a huge panoramic shot, both pages taken up, and I would just kind of like look at the photo and draw it, and like I blew it up, and it was just really cool. So just like skate, um, hip hop, graffiti, like those things have always been instilled with me since I was a kid. Like I talk about how a lot of my friends were born and raised on like ACDC, Leonard Skinner, and Zeppelin,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
like music, which is awesome, but for me it was non-existent. my dad was actually like a b-boy back in the
Oh.
80s.
Oh.
He had a crew, and he would like break dance, go to house parties, go to like competition at like the state fair and all of that stuff. So like I was raised on like Cypress Hill, Run DMC, Busta Rhymes, and like just hip hop culture was such a massive part of me since I can remember. I think he has videos or photos of me dancing to like MC Hammers. Yeah, dude, I've always been about that life.
That is so sick. Also, sorry if while you were talking there was like a couple sneezes that went off. Like my cat is like sneezing in the kitchen.
Oh no, you're good. Honestly, I'm surprised I'm keeping it together. Like my allergies have been hell this
Allergy
past
season. Poor cat. Poor kitty. Um, the next question I have for you is who are a few of your influences? Some of your favorite photographers?
Oh man, okay. So I put together a tiny list just because like I full disclosure, we tried to record this the other day and
So true.
it's and this is the one question I felt like after it was done, I was like I felt bad because I had like so many people that I wanted to shout out, and so I just want to take a moment here really quick. So we're gonna link everybody. I'm gonna throw you their Instagram
For
names
sure.
so we can kind of look them up and have people check them out. But we've got It's Jobra, My Life a Desire, My iFilm, CrispyKeem.jpg, Harris, Christopher_Ray JPEG. We got K Kaz photos, Louis Chavez, Jose Stash, I don't know. I can't. Sometimes I can't read. I don't know. Little Nacho, Giuseppe. Those guys are awesome. Like I've been building some really cool friendships in this community. Like yourself included, Matt. Like
Oh.
you through Instagram. Like it's been super rad. And another really quick shout out to Nick Booth. Like that's
Nick
how.
Boo.
So I remember, I think you posted a photo of oh my gosh, it would have was it Bouquet?
Ghost Key.
Ghost Key. That's
Ghost Key.
right.
Yeah.
And that's when we kind of started talking. Like he linked you, he tagged you, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna see this photographer. So I
Yeah.
love your photo. And I guess full circle, like these are some of the awesome people that I've gotten a chance to talk to and meet in the community. I love these people's work. Like everyone's got such amazing range, and like everyone's super nice. So if I could, that list would be 1,000 names long. But those are just some of the ones that come to mind. Like I love your work, guys.
Awesome, dude. Dude, yeah. Shout out Nick Booth. Shout out Ghost Key. They're the homies, dude. I miss them.
I know, man.
How do you get inspired?
How do I get inspired? For me, a lot of inspiration comes from spending time outside of photography.
Okay.
So, what I've kind of learned is like, I went through this point of I was just like nose down, photo, photo, photo. That's all I cared about. And like it started to just wear me out. And I kind of started to realize photography for me is like it's like a cup, and in order to fill that, I have to gain experience and like friendships and my just self journey outside of photography, traveling, doing the things that I love, so I can use that to my creative voice and come to photography and like put the best version of me in it. So that really helps me, especially with burnout that I kind of went through about 6 months ago. It was really rough. But I kind of fell back into the old things that used to just give me so much joy before I started to kind of take photography really seriously, that I wanted to make this something with my life and put so much time into, which was like old VHS tapes, like some of my favorite movies, PS2 games, watching like skate documentaries, hip hop documentaries,
Yeah.
and like I've got some really cool photo books from like Supreme. I've got one from Nigel Sylvester. I think it's called Mid '90s, and it's a collection of photography in skate throughout the '90s,
Okay.
and it's like some really dope stuff. And taking almost the pressure off of myself of like you need to create, but just falling back in love with those things that got me inspired in the first place, so I can kind of come back to photography feeling brand new again.
Hell yeah, dude, that's awesome. Little side question here. Do you ever like collect or like look into like doing like making and or like get inspired from like photo books at all?
Yeah, so I haven't like purchased a photo book per se from like a photographer.
Right.
The kinds that I have are like collections and timepieces of like graffiti in the '90s and skateboarding and things like that. Another one is, oh my gosh, Contact High. I'm
Okay.
sure people have heard about that. It's like a super popular book, but basically it's the negatives and the contact sheets from photo shoots within hip hop throughout like a massive span of years. So it's like the sheets used for like MF Doom and Nas and Jay Z, Ludacris, and it kind of takes you all through generations of rap music, and you see like in really big photo shoots and big popular ones that they ended up using for albums, and you see them circled the ones that they ended up going with, crossing out the ones that they didn't end up using. But it's really cool to see the step before and like the creative process
Yeah.
on the photographer side.
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff gets me super hyped, and kind of just looking through those books, like it leaves me super inspired, and like I would love to make a photo book of my own sometime.
Which is funny that you say that because we've talked about trying to do like a collab on a photo book.
Absolutely, we have, and it's still going to happen.
Yeah.
So we'll let everybody know when that does happen. But we want to meet up in the Pacific Northwest and kind of shoot along the coast. I have never spent enough time out there. I've only
Right.
been there for like a day or two, and it wasn't necessarily for photos. So I'm super eager to get back and take some photos, man.
Dude, I'm so excited whenever that happens.
It's it's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Speak it. Yeah.
Speak it into the world.
Yes.
um, the other day I had some like kind of brain fog and I couldn't come up with bunch of questions. So I kind of like reached out on Instagram to ask some people if they had any like questions that they'd be interested having being answered. No one knowing who I was like going to be interviewing. But my friend Hunter asks, "What are you looking to capture in your shots? And is it more about being there and taking them?"
That's a good question. Um, so what I'm looking for in my photos is just, I know it sounds cheesy, but like capturing that moment, that fragment in time, because my brain is so, it can be so scattered, and like worrying about like things to come, things that have happened, anxiousness, things like that that just kind of get in your way. So what I love about my camera so much is that it grounds me and it puts me in the present. And so capturing that feeling, so I'm not overlooking what's right in front of me, and making me really appreciate the things that I'm doing, the people that I'm with, and I love that so much. So it's really just a little snapshot, hopefully that I can remember forever. And honestly, it makes that moment so much better. I know for some people it can be like, well, why would you want to take photos? Why wouldn't you just want to like kind of live in that moment? But for me, photos, they enhance that memory so much.
Yeah.
Like I always tell myself, make sure you're enjoying this, make sure you're not just glued to your camera. But I always pull it out, I get some photos, and then I get to edit them later, and it just, I don't know, that whole process kind of cements that memory for me and making it so much more important.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you also just kind of feel like, man, I had something that I was just about to say when you were saying that. Shoot. It's kind of just like capturing the essence of like telling like emotion through like a photo as well. I feel like is very much like something that happens. I feel like with like photography, that's kind of how I feel when it comes to when I take photos. Like it's like again you were saying like some people are just saying like live in the moment, but it's like I feel like a lot of the time it's like I like to capture that moment and kind of like show it off to people so that they can also like experience that moment even though they weren't there.
Absolutely. And I don't want to speak for everyone, but
Yeah.
like for photographers, like that's kind of how we experience those moments and how we kind of imprint that in our brains. Like we take hundreds and thousands of photos, I mean, all the time, and this
Yeah.
is just what we do, and it makes those moments even better.
I love that. That's awesome. Cool. The next question I have is, what are some bucket list shoots you want to do? Like, whether it be a location, with a certain person, or whatever.
Oh man, I've got a few that I frequently think about, and I'm kind of like speaking that into my own existence. But I for sure would love to shoot with Supreme. So like that brand is something that has been just massive, obviously in like the skate community, but it's become, I mean, after the '90s and 2000s, like a part of like just like culture. You know what I mean? Like it's an incredible clothing brand itself, not just like skate. So it's just it's so massive, and I love what they do with their drops. How it's just limited, and they collaborate with other brands, athletes, artists. It's just really cool, and I would love to be a part of that. Whether it's just like to shoot something for like a lookbook, just a limited shoot, something. I don't know, man. Anything Supreme that they're doing, like I would love to be part of it. That along with I think the top of that mountain of like my bucket would be Tyler the Creator. Like I have listened to him for so long.
Heck yeah.
Um, of course, when Yonkers dropped in like 2011, like dude, I was hooked. And what he has done, like his entire career, has just been unfiltered him. I love what he is doing so much. He doesn't care about what the industry is doing, what's popular, who he needs to be, what he needs to do for his plan for success or whatever. He's him, and that's why everybody loves him so much. So what he has done with Golf Wang, like his first clothing brand, watching it kind of grow and mature with him into Golf the Floor, which is more of like a designer take on it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like that is something I would love to also shoot with. Like Tyler's just awesome. So whether it's going with him, man, on tour, a show, or with a clothing drop,
Yeah.
that would be monumental to
Damn,
me,
dude, I would love to shoot Tyler the Creator. That'd be so sick.
man. And I think most recently we'll give a number three is Caitlin Clark and like collaborating with Nike to be able to shoot with her. So
Because you're an
I am
Iowa boy.
Iowa born and raised. Spent most of my life in there, and man, it's like it's so true. Like, okay, so for the Midwest and Iowa specifically, there's a term Iowa nice, and it's so true. You're such a genuine person. You're nice. You're kind to strangers. It doesn't matter like who it is, and it's cool seeing that in her. Like she has skyrocketed these last few seasons. Like honestly, her entire college career, she's blown up with the Hawkeyes,
Yeah.
and she's gained attention like outside of just basketball. You've got little boys and girls, you've got adults, you've got parents, you've got people from overseas that are now watching women's basketball because of the just attention she's put to it. She's such an incredible, genuine person. You can even see that in her interviews, like when people are asking her about the game, about really anything, she will credit her teammate first or teammates first, and then she also is gonna credit the other team that they just played against, the other coaching staff. Like she's always the first one to shout out everyone else before herself. So she's just incredibly humble. She's an awesome person and a killer athlete. So hit me up. Like,
Yo, no, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I'm not like super big into college basketball whatsoever. I couldn't tell you one player, but I know Caitlin Clark because of what's been going on lately, and just like you said, her blowing up, and it's like outside of like basketball. Like it's crazy. It's crazy what she's done, like breaking records and all sorts of
It's
things.
a it's a beautiful thing, and like you go on there, like when the season was going on, scrolling through comments and stuff, and you see people from overseas. I would see comments like, "I'm from Brazil. How can we stream the game?" And it's just like, it's so cool seeing just like the whole world for this season specifically. Everyone was watching it, and it was just really cool to see all of that support for women's basketball.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Shout out. um, cool. How do you think the future of photography is going to go into like the next 10 years?
I think as long as photographers are staying true to themselves and why they.
She wants to know too.
Oh man, I think as long as photographers are staying true to themselves and why they pick up a camera in the first place, like
Right.
we're gonna be in a good spot right now. And I mean, since Instagram has kind of been changing things over the last several years, it's putting a lot of pressure on following like algorithms and trends and stuff like that. So you see a lot of copy and pasted ideas of like, okay, I'll do my version of like what this trend is. I'll do my version of that. So, and that's okay too because we have to adapt or else we're not going to get that reach. So, but I think as long as like I said, we're true to why we shoot and we don't get lost in an algorithm. I think we're gonna be in a good spot.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, dude. It's crazy how much like photography has evolved within like the last 10 years, I feel like. Like I only started really shooting, oh man, like 2016 or 2017ish, like really shooting. But it's like just seeing where it's come from then, just it's so crazy right now.
Oh, I completely
Yeah.
agree. And that's at 2016 is when I got my first like DSLR
Okay.
and really was like, this is what I want to do. So no, I totally agree. If you remember, like, I feel like Instagram back in, oh man, back in 16, 17, 18 was like the era of like travel bangers. Everyone was wanting to take photos standing on like a cliffside, golden hour, looking just like epic, like it was a screenshot
Yeah.
out of like a Christopher Nolan movie or something like that. And it was sweet, but it's really cool just seeing it progress and grow and seeing different editing styles come out. I think we're getting the most diverse look at like photography that we've kind of had, at least in like
Yeah.
the main part of Instagram and photography.
I totally agree, dude. Like honestly, I feel like a bunch of photographers I was seeing back then. It was like a lot of like the same cut and paste, kind of like everyone's just like, I picked up a camera, I shot this photo, and it's like it was looked exactly the same as like the next person. But I feel like nowadays, like a lot of people are like really throwing in their own like style, their own like taste. Like I can tell like a photographer's like editing style, like especially here in like the Northwest. I have a couple friends who also do photography. Like we all shoot almost like the same stuff, but it's like everyone's is so uniquely different, and like the way that they go about like editing it to like where it's got its own like taste and flavor and like different emotions even. Like you can just like see how like it was from like their perspective, and that's like a cool thing that I think photography is like you can kind of see it from like how like the photographer saw it. And I feel like a lot of people are adding like more colors and more less colors even. Like sometimes I feel like a good black and white photo really can tell a story more than just like a simplistic, just like basic photo, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And like that's what makes it so amazing is like seeing everybody's their like creative thumbprint, if you will.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
every
creative thumbprint. That's a great way to put it.
so it's like you could line up 25 photographers, give them the same photo that someone else took, and everyone is going to edit that differently. And so just seeing the world through somebody else's eyes, like that's what is so special about photography. And that's what I was talking about, of like staying true to like who you are, what you love, and the things that you want to shoot. So that's always going to shine through in your photography. Don't get lost in like what's trendy and what the algorithm wants you to kind of put out there.
Dude, yeah.
But 100%, I love it.
Sorry, drinking tea. I've got just like a couple questions left over for you here. I think I've got like three more questions. But what are some of your favorite things to capture? Um,
Some of my favorite things to capture, one of the biggest things that like shifted to my forefront when I moved here in California about, I think, 3 years at this point now, is landscapes. So in Iowa, where I was, I really didn't see things in a way of like that was landscapes were beautiful to me. I don't know. It was really hard for me to shoot a place that I had lived my whole life, and it's really hard to like see it differently when you kind of almost grow to hate a location.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You can't see it in a new light. You're just like, ugh, I'm over this. So coming to California, everything was so bright and shiny and new and just gorgeous, man. Iowa was a lot of cornfields and stuff like that. Becoming like cliffs, the coast. It is so golden out here, and like that was, I think, one of the first things that I was like, this has to be something that I grow a skill at, because I didn't know how to shoot landscapes. I didn't know how to do anything like that, to compose for such a large frame, and it challenged me, and it was really cool. Sorry, what else? What other part of
that
the
was
question?
that was just the first question.
Okay,
um,
cool. I was talking about that and I got lost and I was like,
you're
man,
totally good. Yeah, yeah, dude. I just realized now that we're talking about this, for some reason my brain was just like Iowa, Iowa, and I was like Slipknot, Slipknot. I totally forget that they're from Iowa, and I'm like, holy crap.
yeah, oh, 100% they are.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
right when you were saying like cornfields in Iowa, and I was like Slipknot.
yeah. They're pretty known. And the funny thing is, I think for a lot of people, that's the only thing they associate to Iowa. Like when I have the conversation of, oh, where are you from? Where did you grow up? I'm like, oh, Iowa. They're like, wait a minute, isn't that where Slipknot's from?
That's so funny.
Yes.
Um, uh, how do you deal with burnout? I know that you were mentioning that you just kind of like went through a stage of burnout recently. Um, so I guess like how do you deal with that? And like what kind of like advice would you have for people who are like struggling with their own burnout?
Yeah, man, burnout is a very real thing, and it had never hit me the way that it did for whatever reason. Who I was in that moment of time in my life, around September, October, there was like, it just, I don't know, the world just felt super heavy to me. And picking up a camera, just, I would get like anxious, and I just felt like my work wasn't, I don't know, wasn't where I wanted it to be, needed it to be. I don't know. Like it was just a point where like I just really got in my head, and I would almost feel sick thinking about like shooting. So like months went by where my camera just kind of collected dust, and I really had to revisit. I know we kind of talked about it before, but leaning on those things that got me excited and inspired to buy a camera in the first place. So it was playing my old PS2. It was watching a bunch of VHS tapes, and it was taking that pressure off of myself, of like, you have to create. We're all creating for an algorithm, and like we have to make sure our stuff's getting views, and like I started to fall apart. And like this isn't why I did it. This isn't why I bought a camera.
Yeah.
And so I just fell in love with all of those things again, like the old skate documentaries, my photo books about graffiti in the 80s in New York, and a bunch of the old music that I was listening to when I was making graffiti when I was like in high school. And all of those things kind of like brought me back to life. It took some time for sure, because you have to put yourself wholeheartedly into those things outside of photography, but when you do, for me, it had me coming back feeling fresh, brand new. Man, I see things differently. I'm shooting with way more like excitement and also purpose. So it's just like I feel so much more aligned in like who I am on like a spiritual level,
Yeah.
and it's like I just feel so alive with my camera again. I'm outside of my own head for the first time in a really long time.
All right. Well, before I ask my last two questions, I just wanted to say that you guys should definitely check out Antonio's work. I'm gonna go ahead and post a bunch of pictures right now from that he selectively, like you purposely picked these out specifically for this. Wow, that was like really bad to say that way. Bleh. Okay. You handpicked each one of these photos for this video to like kind of showcase your own work. Um, so where can other people find you in your work?
So the two main places I've got my work at is going to be on, of course, Instagram, the Antonio Alvarez, one word, and my website where my portfolio kind of lives. And you can also reach out to me on there through email to schedule a booking or anything like that. But that website is going to be www.theantonioalvarez.net.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So I guess while you're saying these things, I'm going to make sure that these photos are being showcased while you're talking about where we can find you. And I'll leave links down in the description below where people can find your work and your website. You guys should definitely hit them up if you're based in the. I'm so
Central
sorry.
Coast of California.
Central Coast of California. Yeah. I'm like, what town is it?
So, it's like I always tell people I live like the back door of Pismo Beach.
Okay.
So everything is kind of scrunched together in like a super close drive. So Central Coast is broad, but also like if you say that in California, people kind of like get the general area.
Yeah. No, not the Bay.
Literally, not the Bay, not LA.
Yeah. Not the Bay, not LA. I love it. That's like a thing, right?
Shout out to Esteem. I just want to say, like, that's their slogan in Pismo is not LA, not the Bay, because Central Coast, we're right between that. So yeah.
Dude, yeah. I feel that, dude. Here in Olympia, I'm based in Olympia, so it's like we're right between Portland and Seattle.
It feels like a no man's land.
Dude,
You know
it's so weird. People are like, yeah, the capital of Washington is Seattle. I'm like, no, dude, it's Olympia. Like, I could walk to the Capitol building right now. It's so funny. Last two questions I have for you is this one's kind of a funnier one, but like, what's a photography hot take that you have?
Ooh. Do I have to explain or do we just say it?
I mean, you can explain if you want to, but like, I mean, it's just like a hot take. Like, I know I have some gripes about certain photography things, but that's just me. But
Yeah. My hot take would be if you shoot film, you're not as cool as you think you are. I just a lot of pretentious. I mean, you see it. You see it anywhere. You
yeah,
see it in amounts of Canon over Sony over ew. Nobody shoots with the potato Nikon. I mean, like literally, there's elitists everywhere. So it doesn't even matter. But one of the first things when I really started to pay attention to like film compositions and colors and stuff like that, I would just like that was one of my first experiences and like when I was seeing some videos and people post on like subreddit and stuff like that is just like I was like, dude, is everybody so pretentious that shoots film? And like it just bugged me.
yeah.
Obviously, everybody's like that, but
It's like hipsters, you know.
yeah, gross.
It's so
I was
funny.
like, just be cool. The camera's a tool. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. That's so true. It's also just like a creative tool. It's not just like. I mean, you could use the camera just to, like get the job done, but like I feel like it should be mainly like a creative tool to like have that outlet.
Yeah. And really quick, to just kind of piggyback off of that too, and like, with it being a creative tool, like I get that film is like it's so much more of a before you hit your shutter process. You know, it's reading the light, the situation, what film stock you have, what camera, the lens, and it's like you got to dial it in. So hitting shutter is almost like the last step of everything being perfect of that process. I mean, you get it scanned and developed too, which is its own whole thing. But for
Let me
digital
tell you.
photography, it adds a big process to the after effect of hitting your shutter. So there's a lot that goes into Lightroom. You're color grading it, and you're creating those masks, and you're creating your vision. You know what I mean? It's just which tool is going to get you your vision to create that, whether it's digital, whether it's film.
Yeah, whether it's a
Whatnot.
combo.
Exactly.
That's so funny that you're like, one hot take is film doesn't make you as cool as you are when you just picked up a film camera.
Yeah, and I didn't. It makes me cool. I did it because, like I said,
No, dude, you did it because it makes you cool.
I swear, bro. No, I wanted to learn about that process. I wanted to slow down, and I wanted to be super deliberate every time I hit my shutter. And I want to learn about those different types of film stocks in different lighting conditions. And I want to take all of those things and implement it into shooting digitally. Like, the cost of film is insane. There's no way I'm, at least anytime soon, going to be shooting like full-time film or even more than a few rolls every once in a while. But it's kind of the same effect of when I really started to pay attention to more film photographers, seeing how they color, the color that they get out of those film stocks, the types of compositions, like just noticing and like putting myself into that community and talking with people that shoot film. Like I've used so much of that in the way that I shoot digitally, and I have learned so much from that. And honestly, it's just to make sure we're constantly trying new things. We're never too cool to suck at something. And so pick up something new that's gonna challenge you. And for me, that's grabbing a film camera.
That's awesome. That's actually a great piggyback off of that because it's just kind of like, don't hark on to too much, you know? I mean, I have tons of friends who like shoot films, so it's like I'm kind of like in that middle ground where I'm like, it's both really cool. I
Totally.
shoot mostly digital though because it's more convenient, obviously.
Yeah.
But I also just like
Insane.
suck at film. Like I feel like it's so it's definitely like you said. It's like it's a whole thing where it's like it's a build up process where it's like with the digital, it's like you can just edit it once you're done shooting all the photos. Like you have time to work on it. Whereas I feel like you need a lot more prep time with the film.
Absolutely. It's like I said, like shooting with being deliberate with a film camera. Like I'm hoping I learn all of those kind of skills and apply that to digital, and just kind of one helps the other grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Last question I have for you is: do you have any advice for anybody who wants to pick up a camera in 2024?
Yes, I do, and it's advice that I wish somebody told me, which is shoot absolutely everything. Like any kind of opportunity that comes through to you when you're getting started, go for it, take it, shoot family photos, even if like engagements and family photos aren't your thing, or not something you want to do at the end of your creative journey, or what you even want to do for a living, because you're going to be learning so much from everything you do. Make sure that you absorb everything that you can. So whether it's product photography, you're shooting portraits with your friends, like just shoot absolutely everything, gain all of that experience, because you got to get your reps in. You've got to shoot your, I think, your 10,000 hours to be great at something. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
Carry your camera around with you everywhere you go. Photograph everything.
love that. That's a perfect way to end off this thing. Um, Thank you so much for letting me do this interview with you, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that we finally got like the chance to do this again. Like you were saying earlier, the other day it was just like we had the whole thing recorded, and it just like there was no audio whatsoever, and it was
Dude,
just like,
that was such a bummer. But it went really well, and so like, and it gives us another chance to hang out. So
yeah,
like, dude, I'm all for it. It all
yeah.
happens.
But I definitely plan on trying to make this like a series. So if you're a friend of mine or a homie or somebody, and you want me to go ahead and like interview about you about photography related things or just even music related things, I'd love to be able to do that. Again, thank you so much, Antonio. Again, you guys can find him at the Antonio Alvarez on Instagram. Everything's going to be in the bio. Um, and yeah, I guess we're just going to end it off right there. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, thank you, man.